Barnabas, the man who made room. Before Paul was Paul, they remembered Saul. They did not see an apostle yet. They did not see a missionary. They did not see a man whose words would one day strengthen generations. They saw the past. They remembered the threats. They remembered the fear. They remembered the damage. They remembered the man who had once made believers afraid to gather, afraid to speak, afraid to trust. And when Saul came near, the room pulled back. Because fear has a memory, because wounds do not forget quickly, because trust, once broken, is not rebuilt with words alone. And every man who has ever carried the weight of his past knows what that feels like. To walk into a room and wonder if people still see who you were. To carry regret on your shoulders. To know God is changing you, but wonder if anyone else will ever believe it. That was Saul. Changed by God, but not yet trusted by men. And then Scripture gives us one of the strongest leadership moments in the early church. But Barnabas took hold of him, not the crowd, not the room, not the people who were already convinced. Barnabas, one man stepped forward when everyone else stepped back. One man crossed the distance. One man stood close. One man put his own name on the line for what God was doing in another man. That is not weakness. That is strength. That is not soft leadership. That is courage with backbone. Barnabas did not pretend Saul's past did not matter. He did not ignore wisdom. He did not dismiss the pain people remembered. A real man does not confuse grace with foolishness. A real leader does not ignore danger just to look compassionate. But Barnabas saw something fear could not see. He saw grace at work. He saw redemption in motion. He saw a man still becoming. He saw a calling that was real, even before the room was ready to trust it. And men need that. Men need someone who can see more than their worst season. Men need someone who can look past the failure, the shame, the reputation, the mess, and say, God is not finished with you. Barnabas brought Saul to the apostles. He told the story others were not ready to hear yet. He stood beside him when Saul did not have enough credibility to stand alone. He opened a door that fear had closed. He made room before the room was ready. That is the Barnabas kind of leadership. It does not need applause. It does not need credit. It does not need to be the loudest voice in the room. It stands close. It opens doors. It lends strength. It gives another man room to rise. Because real encouragement is not flattery. It is not empty praise. It is not pretending everything is fine. Real encouragement puts courage back into a man who is still becoming. It looks a man in the eye and says, get up. God is still working. Your past is not the final word. Your failure is not your name. Your calling is not dead. And then came the deeper test. Could Barnabas keep making room when Saul's voice began to grow? Could he celebrate another man's calling when that calling started carrying farther than his own? Could he stay secure when the man he helped began to rise? That is where many men fail. They can mentor until someone passes them. They can help until someone gets noticed. They can open a door until someone else walks through it and receives the applause. But Barnabas was different. He did not need to be first. He did not need to be the center. He did not need every story to end with his name, because Barnabas understood what kingdom men must never forget. The mission is bigger than my ego. The kingdom is bigger than my platform. The calling is bigger than my need to be seen. Paul would go on to preach. Paul would go on to write. Paul would suffer, lead, plant, and shape generations. But before Paul stood before nations, Barnabas stood beside him. Before Paul had influence, Barnabas opened a door. Before the room believed, Barnabas made room. That is legacy, not just what you build with your own hands, but who rises because you stood close, who becomes stronger because you believed, who finds courage because you opened the door, who steps into purpose because you were secure enough to make room. So ask yourself this: who are you strengthening? Who are you restoring? Who are you calling higher? Who are you making room for? What man around you needs courage, not criticism? What leader needs your covering, not your competition? What future is waiting on you to stop protecting your seat and start opening the door? Be that kind of man, be that kind of leader. Stand close, open the door, make room, build others, leave a kingdom legacy.